This is the second episode of BlackBook, and today we're joined with Dr. Aybar. And before I get into that introduction, I'm just going to remind you what BlackBook is all about. The podcast, it's a collection of global ideas and thoughts affecting Black and Indigenous people. And while our focus is in Asia Pacific, it's a relevant global conversation. And the overall filter is speculation in what it is to thrive and allow more love to flow for all people. So our guest speaker today, I'll say again, is Dr. Aybar, who's been in practice for more than 25 years. And she's going to be sharing with us some insights on the contrast in thinking and feeling between those who have health concerns versus those who experience a significant improvement in their well-being. Okay, and how's that? Is Mr. Sanford? How do you feel with that? Does that work for you?
That is absolutely fabulous. I'm just excited to have Dr. Aybar with us, and of course, to be doing our second one. That means we are rolling. Let's just keep it going.
Yes. I do just need to point one thing. I've been in practice for over 20 years, not quite 25.
All right.
I graduated 25 years ago, but, we don't want to be, getting people all over.
The people get excited about that piece of paper. So I think the day you graduated, that's the day. That's the day.
And that's 25 years. And that is 25 years and 2 months and 16 days.
16 days.
And for the most part, has your practice been here in Australia?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
So I've predominantly been practicing in Melbourne, and I have a satellite practice in Wagga, which I've been going to for 25 years. And it's been really interesting because I have a nice demographic.
Mm.
I've been in different areas in Melbourne, working with different ages and stages in life, and different types of people. I've worked with indigenous people as well, and it's been really interesting, the whole idea of wellness and how people heal.
Mm.
And one of the biggest questions I always had was that, the patients that I had in the country areas tended to recover a lot quicker than my patients in the city.
Okay.
And I never could quite figure that out. So I think this is a really good topic.
Mm. So maybe we should share what ontology is. Which is... we have the expert here, so...
Who, where?
Yeah.
Well, ontology is the your well-being, where you are, how you are in your state of health and well-being.
Sure. Well, and if we take a broader view, ontology is actually the study of being. What is it to be? What is it to be a human being? And as we all know, that being is what produces all the results in the experiences that we call our reality. You made a really interesting statement how the people in the city were not becoming well as quickly as those in your satellite location. And I'm thinking that there's probably a little bit more of a backstory to that. So you came from Texas, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you
Texas?
can you share a little bit about just give us a little history about how you came to be?
Well, I was born in Del Rio, Texas, on a Air Force base, Laughlin Air Force Base, and then we moved to Austin when I was about 4. And my parents went to the University of Texas, and I was one of those little rugrats running around campus with them. And, my brothers and I grew up there, went to school there, and I went to the University of Texas. Left there and went to Iowa. Decided that when I wanted to become, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, really. I was a science major, and I thought to myself, with a biochem major at that time, there wasn't really many options. I was either going to be, making food additives or, nuclear weapons. I thought, I really don't want to be involved in that. And I wasn't prepared to get involved in genetics. So I decided to, get into chiropractic, which was a much, much healthier option for me.
And you were the 4th African-American graduate at your university?
The 4th Black woman to graduate from Palmer College, yes.
Wow.
And, I didn't really think about the gravity of that until fairly recently. And it was 10 years between myself and number 3.
Wow.
And 10 years between her and number 2. And 1 and 2 were not too far apart from what I understand. And I thought, wow, that is massive. Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa is the fountainhead of chiropractic. It all began there.
Mm.
And to graduate in 1994 and be the 4th to graduate is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, we're looking forward to your next book. Okay, so we have understanding what ontology is. It's who are we being, and if we were to put that into context of, there's a saying, "Oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed," and that's a euphemism for, I decided to behave this way or think this way when I woke up this morning, or I'm deciding to think or be in a particular way in any situation. Sometimes people will get into an argument and they'll say, "Oh, well, he made me angry," and that's not really the case, is it?
No.
It's more like we decide to react in a particular way given external stimulus. And I'm curious, why from both you, Sanford and Dr. Aybar, why is it important to understand the impact of who I am being in relation to wellness? Not I mean anyone. Why is it important
in general? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Dr. Aybar.
Okay, so I think it's really important because I think people, from my experience, people come into my office with a way of being, and they believe that this is who they are. And when they go through that process of realizing that, well, actually, I've chosen to be this way, to respond this way to the situation that I'm currently experiencing. And it's not, and I'm not saying that they're catastrophizing their health, but they actually believe that they won't get better.
Yes.
They buy into this, you have this, and therefore you will be limited in your life experience. And time again, we find that that's not the case. And that, we all have a functional capacity, regardless of whatever our physical limitations may be. And when people realize that they actually can be someone else and not their pain or their suffering, their quality of life improves.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, because I come from working with youth a lot, and one of the things that I often look at when I work with youth and I end up talking to their parents, one of the things that they don't like me saying, you can see it in their face, they may not say it verbally, is I say, when I see your child, I also see you. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but when I'm working with the child, I know that I'm working with the parent as well. So if the parent comes home and says, "I'm tired," the child comes to training and go, "I'm tired." If the parent goes, "Oh, this, money doesn't grow on trees," and the child comes, "Money doesn't grow on trees." And they don't recognize, and research has shown this, and you guys can, look it up yourselves or back me up. But 95% of our thoughts are unconscious. Unconscious thoughts. And so that means we're listening to what everybody else is saying and we're regurgitating it. And that's the same thing with the body, is from what I understand you're saying.
Absolutely.
And you know, I work from a premise, and you guys may have heard of it. It's not my theory, but it's called biopsychosocial. Have you heard of this?
Yes,
and
I have.
there's so many variables when it comes to well-being and health.
Yes. And I very, very much work from that point as well. You know, so when people come, we talk about, well, what's going on? You know, you're having this experience. How much of this experience is you stashing away your emotional pain? How much of this experience is actual physical pain? And, you know, what is it preventing you from doing? And what would you like to do about it? You know, how willing are you to take responsibility for where you're at?
And do they look at you like, why are you talking to me? Just give me medicine, or just fix me?
Yeah, crack my back and let me go. I got places to go and things to do. I don't have time for this. No. Like one of my classic examples was, I had a patient come in who was experiencing jaw pain. I thought, okay, right. And so I was checking their upper neck. I was checking them. And in that, I said to them, right, this, you know, we'll see how we go. So they came back for the second appointment, and they were a little bit better, and that was good. Did some more work. They came back. They were a little bit better, and I sat there, I looked at him, and I said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then the mouth opened, the information was released. This is the situation, blah, 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 on and on and on. And she just like let it rip. And I looked at her, I said, oh, that's funny. She said, what? I said, your mouth is moving. I said, okay, you know, go home, deal with that, you know, and I'll see you when I'm looking at you. She said, what? I said, right, you already told me what the problem is, go and deal with the problem. So, and she did. And she came back, she called me and she said, oh, I'd like to make an appointment. She said, I know there's an emotional component, but I have a physical component as well. And I'm like, that's fine, come on. And it happens often. And, you know, people tell you, oh, you know, I'm waking up at this time of night and I'm having pain here, and this is my, oh yeah, that's the liver cycle, you know, seat of all anger, what's going on? And then they turn bright red, and, you know, it all happens.
You telling me this is my fault?
No, I say it's not your fault. It's just that
yes,
you're having an experience because you've chosen not to face whatever the reality is that you need to face, and finding a way to do that without pointing a finger at somebody. Because when you have true communication, there is room for understanding, and it doesn't turn into, you know, as I like to say, a shitstorm. You know, and,
with some of the things that you're sharing, I think all of us we can relate to a personal example, and you know, as you're speaking, I was thinking of a recent example when I was in the gym. You know, when I was much younger, I used to go in the gym and no pain, no gain, and I'd rah 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 and all the, you know, beating in the chest, the alpha male, and, you know, and just
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll pump you up.
Yeah, it was all very stereotypical, blah blah blah, right? And probably about 5 years ago, I stopped that type of behavior, because I was just thinking, you know, if I'm yelling at myself and calling myself names, whether it's internally or grunting or whatever, you know, would I ever speak to a child like that? Would I ever say, "Come on, you can do it. You're nothing. What are you, a little girl?" You know, that not only is it misogynistic, I mean, it's just not. You know, if you yell at a child, they're not going to. They stop. It's like a dog. When you yell at a dog, they dig in because they're afraid. And so about 5 years ago, I just stopped all of that behavior, and I changed to saying, wow, these weights are a real opportunity, because it gives me it gives me space to be able to grow and to expand and to experience a newness, a different perspective. And just last week or so, there was an example where normally I might do a leg press of, say, 360 kilos, something along that lines, and it's hard. It's, for me, that's heavy. And so one day I was just curious. I wonder how much more could I take this up? And so I was settling on about 400 kilos leg press. No problem, 10 reps. And if you can do 10 reps, then you can potentially do more. So I gradually went up. So I went up to about 440 kilos. And I ended up doing 8 reps at 440 kilos, which was a personal best. Now, the difference between 440 kilos and the 400 kilos was that my thinking was so much different, and also the way I was feeling. So when I was doing it, 440 kilos, I was in a space of celebration of what my physiology is capable of, and I was very much content and loving, and that was the outcome. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to have that same type of outcome, or maybe they'll have greater or more, but the point is that I've noticed that I tend to have more results as I am being loving. When I'm being loving as opposed to being a different way.
Can you both please address for me, how can love actually help with wellness? Because love's supposed to be mushy. It's just mushy stuff, isn't it?
No. Well, one of the things, when I was early in practice, there were times where people give you a few googly eyes and, all that. And you kind of look at them and you go, hang on a minute. Actually holding space for someone, hearing them, truly hearing them.
So the intention.
The intention of making a difference in their life is this, it is the ultimate love. I love my patients. I want them to be well. I tell them I want them to be well. I celebrate when they are able to achieve the things that they want to achieve. And when we don't achieve the things that they want to achieve, then we try to come up with a new solution. But, it is unconditional love. And so for them, they feel that. They know that I'm not the 3-minute job, in, bang, out, bang, in, bang, out, bang. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. And there are many people that don't want to be seen. They don't want you to have enough time to look them in the eyes and see just behind that is like a watershed. When you look at somebody and you say, how are you? How you going? And they burst into tears. That's a very, very special place. That's a place of trust. And, that's a place where people heal. So absolutely, that is
definitely.
And if we
smack them down when they kind of get a little bit crazy.
if we take,
that's when they get the manual adjustment.
So if we take that out, if we expand it, the macro of love, love is the it's our DNA. It's energy. It doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's always curious and it's always expanding, and that's what we're made of. That we life. Another word for life is energy, love, and from my context, especially in training, because I've been a strength coach for over 20 years. Love is the number one intention that I can take, or any of my clients can take into a scenario for them to experience more performance.
Yeah. And so, I really would like taking on that role of devil's advocate, because, you guys your language, I'm just loving what you guys are saying, and I so resonate with it. But Stone, how can we possibly measure love? You know, in this society where everything is so, you know, we got to measure this and we got to get our KPIs. You know, how do we measure love in our wellness and in our overall being?
Well, I would probably reframe that in a different way. It's not currently possible to measure love any more than it is possible to measure the constraints of the universe. It's infinite. But rather, I would ask, what kind of experience are you committed to? And if we're committed to an experience of love, well, that's curiosity. For instance, there's a myth that as we age, and I think both of you are. I'm putting your business out. Both of you are over 50. I'm the only one that hasn't.
Oh, yeah. You're the young kid on the block. Is that what you're saying?
for one more year. But there's this myth that as we age, that we're supposed to become more decrepit and diminish, and that's so false. And when you've had a lifetime of focusing on love, it changes things. It changes the reality. It changes your environment. It changes your experience, and it also transforms the type of people that show up in your life. So I do appreciate your question, and it's really important to not try to contain love in that particular way, because then that wouldn't be love. That would be some type of conditional whatever.
And Dr. Abrams, we were just talking about unconditional. And I just think our listeners need to hear that. And thank you for that, Stone. That's fantastic. What are your insights on that, Dr. Abrams?
Unconditional love. Well, I think it's the ability to show up for people and to hold space for people and to be there, really. And you may be there, or they may not believe you're there, or you may not be there the way they think you are. Okay, I'm talking about my kids now.
All right, now. All right, and we're all parents, so we get it. We get it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting observation. You know, it's not something that you can really measure.
Yeah, I agree. Look, just on 2 points, Stone was talking about, you know, like a lot of people think we get older, we should get decrepit. Okay. You know, when I'm in front of my students, you know, because I work with a lot of acrobatics, cheerleading mainly, and performing artists. Okay. And so I'm teaching them all these acrobatics. I'm spotting, making sure they're safe. And just on the love tip, sometimes when they've had a fall, and they're holding something, what I do is I actually touch it, and then I move it around for them a little bit, similar to probably what you do. And then I talk to them about it, showing up for them. And then 9 times out of 10, they go, yep, I'm good. Because you just showed that attention. You showed up for them. Yes. And then I go, hey, just step aside. Let me show you the trick. And they go, but you're 54. How can you still flip? I'm like, I've been practicing this for 25 years? There's mastery that comes with love. There's mastery that comes with unconditional love. There's mastery with showing up. It doesn't mean we don't make mistakes or have injuries or fall, but there's mastery in showing up and staying connected to what I like to call your extraordinary potential. I call it your extraordinary potential. And so I do this flip and they're just blown away. Then I said, all right, let's get into it. And they're just like, but my dad is 54. He can't do that. But my mom is 50. She can't do that. I said, well, just show them love, baby. Just show them. Just show them love.
You know, admittedly, there isn't a lot of evidence-based research, or especially in medicine, about the application of love. And
so, that doesn't get a look at it. No.
You mean they don't have a class at medical school called Love 101? They don't have that.
No. When I'm speaking with so I did mention this earlier. So I'm also in uni right now, doing Eastern and Western medicine primarily right now I'm focusing on Eastern medicine and acupuncture. And when I'm speaking with other clinicians and we're talking about the relationship that we can cultivate with patients, a lot of times they really get into the ones and zeros of it. Okay, this particular point does this and this particular point does this. And I always want to start with, well, what about creating rapport? What about finding out what's going in their life first? What about finding out if there are any emotional components that may be relevant to their current lifestyle? Because all of that is relevant. And what I share with other clinicians is while there may not be a lot of evidence for love, what is it going to hurt by having an intention of love? What is it going to hurt by being curious? How can I make the most impactful difference in this moment by coming from the heart?
Well, again, I just wanted to touch on that idea of age.
Good.
In the last 18 months, I've had an influx of octogenarians. Now, I grew up with great grandmothers, and my, one grandmother Drusilla, lived to be in her 90s. And my other great grandmother, Gertrude, she ended up living to be over 100.
Wow.
So, I've been around older people. So all of these octogenarians that I've had, from their early 80s to my oldest patient is 97. And, this idea that we can't do this and we can't do that is really in your mind to a certain degree. Why is it that you can look at somebody who's in their mid-60s and they behave as if they believe they're in their 80s? They dress a certain way, they behave a certain way, they adopt a certain posture. And you think, well, hang on a minute, you should be, or not you should be, but, you actually have the opportunity to do this, this, and this. Why not be open? And then I look at my 88-year-old who's doing, 4Ks a day.
Wow.
And they came to me one day and they said, oh, I'm tired. And she said, I just have to accept the fact I'm getting older. I said, okay, so what did you do this morning? Well, I walked 4Ks. I did, half an hour worth of stretches. I did some weights. I, went to my Chinese today class, and I looked at them and I said, I'm tired just listening to you.
So what she's saying, she's had a full day already before most people got up.
That's it. And I said to her, I don't think it's that you're getting old. I think that you're just being active.
Yeah.
How did you sleep last night? Oh, I had a terrible sleep. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember they said, oh, I just want to live to be 85. I said, shut up. 85? What are you talking about? You got more close to you than that. And they laughed. And, they're still going. And they're vibrant, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed individual.
Yep.
Something I'm hearing with your sharing, Dr. Aybar, is that their context on life, their focus on life, their filters, how they see what it is to be on this planet has a lot to do with the fulfillment that they're experiencing.
Correct. Their way of being.
Yes. What is their purpose? Being. Exactly. You got it. You nailed it. So this is a very important conversation, and it's not just about health. It impacts everything: our political system, our communities, the relationships that we have in our families.
Yes.
Biopsychosocial.
Amen.
Right.
Yes.
So right on the money. Right on the money.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot. I would like to get into a discussion about integrative health practices. I mean, they've been around for more than 20 years, but I know that you just opened one or you're now expanding. And
Yes.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, and what was the why, what is the purpose of having all these practitioners together, and if you could also share, what is an integrative health practice.
Well, I think an integrative health practice is one that has a multidisciplinary approach to working with an individual.
And why would that be important?
Well, that's important because, look, at the end of the day, we all have our tool bag.
Mm-hmm.
And that tool bag, as infinite as it may seem, it has edges. And
it has limitations.
Yes, it has limitations. And when you look at combining the different tools that we all have to bring to the table, you actually get a better outcome. So not only are they having their spine aligned and becoming more functional, they're having someone who can then take them and work through the getting their core stabilized, giving them specific exercises that'll help them live the life that they want to live. So, you have an exercise physiologist that can go in and work with someone with Parkinson's and says, okay, so you're having falls. Let's work on the sit to stand. Let's work on balance. Let's work on various aspects. You have a continence nurse that can come in and say, okay, let's work on your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor has a direct influence on your back.
Mm.
So, you have this team that can work together for the benefit of the patient. And so this has been a dream of mine forever. Coming from the States, we all work together. You can, as a chiropractor, as a doctor of chiropractic, you can refer people for blood work, for MRIs, to specialists. There's no limitations other than drugs and surgery. And then you come here and it's like, I can't do that. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to have to be strategic here. And so I've done that. I've done that over the years. And so I've recently opened a practice, an allied health practice, which incorporates physiotherapy, podiatry, and chiropractic. Wow. And, in a medical, I was asked to join a medical group because of the work that we were doing. And I thought, this is amazing.
Yeah.
We did a talk to the GPs in the clinic. They were really open. In fact, it's what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
Okay, wait. You've just shared a lot. So let me try to unpack a little bit of this. So what I'm hearing is you've had a full career of being love, and the way it has played out with your patients is that not only are they getting better, but you're also looking for ways that you can add more value to their life. So you went out and you found other clinicians, other practitioners from other industries, and you brought them all together so that your patients could have more, so that it wasn't just your perspective, it was wow. So that's the way love can look.
Yes. And the best thing is they're all full of love. They're all amazing. And I couldn't have created a better situation. The physios are open and amazing and attentive and caring of the patients. The podiatrist, the same. And it's like, and we have like these little powwows, they're all working together with each other at various times so that they can learn from each other and upskill so they can better serve the patients. And the GPs in the practice are learning about chiropractic, they're learning about podiatry, they're very open to, they pretty much know about podiatry, but they actually have someone on site that they can ask questions about, walk their patients over, the whole thing is so dynamic.
So basically,
it's so dynamic.
so anyone, any patient or whoever, even if it's another practitioner that starts to participate in your clinic,
Yeah.
they're getting everything on a context of love. So they come in there and they're not seen as a sack of meat that needs to be fixed.
No.
They're actually experiencing themselves as whole from the first moment they walk in, and then it's the circumstance of what else is possible. That's what I'm hearing from what you're sharing.
Yes. And the office manager, the practice manager is just, he said, I love them. He said, you couldn't have had a better fit. My associate is over there and he is amazing. And he's always been himself. And he, again, shares and shows up in love with his patients. So he is very, he's a farm boy. And he just loves the whole interconnection of everything. And he's just really laid back but incredibly well read, knowledgeable. And the physio that met him was like, wow, he's really, he knows all his current research. He's up to date with everything. But when you look at him, you wouldn't think that.
Right.
Because he's very, what's the word? He's not in your face. He's not walking up with a puffed chest. I know everything. I'm the dude, He's just like, wow, we've got this great patient. What do you think? What do you do? Well, this is what I do. This is what I think. And it's very collaborative. And I can't wait for the Christmas party.
Well, something else I'm hearing is that because of who you are, you have attracted other practitioners that have that same way of being.
Yes,
and so I can't wait to see your practice all over Victoria and some of the other states, in particular Queensland.
Well, I'll be coming up there to visit. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be really great.
So you're coming to visit, eh?
Yes.
Yes. Did you want people to be lining up? Because we have people who need what you bring.
Oh well.
You coming for a vacation?
First I'll come and meet up with you two, and I've got a couple other people to meet up with up there. So yeah, it'll be good.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right, so we've gone over quite a bit, and I believe what we've come to the conclusion of is that love is everything, and having an intention of love can impact how your day starts, and can impact the results that you have throughout the day. It's really easy to start worrying about how is this going to happen, how, and as soon as we start focusing on the word how, then we get away from the being. We get away from the bliss and the opportunity, and we get away from divinity. So having a context on love, or our focus or a filter on love, it also doesn't mean that we have all the answers. We can't, because we're in these
containers.
Yes. We're in these containers. So this is fantastic, and I got to say that this is also rare. We've all been on the planet for a minute.
Over 50.
Let's just say collectively 150 years. Let's just say it. Come
on. And what we're describing, especially Dr. Aybar, with your practice, I mean, it's rare. You don't find that, and we could have never. We can't wait for legislation for this type of thing to happen, and you've just done it, and it's a remarkable thing. Now, because of APRA guidelines, we're not necessarily able to give a shout out and say that, you know, this
Oh,
is
no,
where
there's no need for that. No.
so, but anyone can go to APRA, the APRA website, and they can look you up, Dr. Simone Aybar, and they can find your contact details there if they have further questions or they want to consult with you. The main point of this podcast today was just to consider well-being in regards to ontology, and somehow or another we ended up on love. Funny that.
Yeah. Funny that.
Excellent. All right, Sanford, closing remarks.
Well, look, we know how to reach our lovely doctor there in Melbourne. Also, I just want to know, Stone, how can we reach you? How can we reach you? How can people want to reach you and be around your energy and share your love?
All right. Well, that's easy. StoneG.com. That's GYE. So StoneG.com, and all my contact details are there. I'm curious. So we're still on track for BlackBook being published in November.
We are.
Awesome.
We're designing. We're in the third draft now. Got some great people on board, and we're just it's a lot of work, but without the work, it ain't gonna get done. So we're just excited about it. We're just super excited about it.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in newsstands. I'm absolutely going to be right there waiting for that first issue to come off the press.
Wonderful. Yes. And so, I feel blessed to be around you guys, to share love. It's like you said, it's a rarity, and people don't talk about it enough. Because, like I said earlier, it can't be measured. And when it can be measured, it scares people, I believe. And I do it in my life coaching with my students in the cheerleading and performing arts world. I talk about love a lot. They look at me like I got horns on my head, but I'm going to keep talking about it because it is in each of them. And I want them to be able to recognize it, to be able to, heal themselves as well as share that love with other people.
I really appreciate that you're doing that with youth, because that's something that they're going to be able to take with them to build the foundation of their life as they mature.
Wonderful.
Now, okay, so we're going to close now, and I want to just do a plug for next week. So next week we are going to be interviewing the Black Caucus Global Chair, and her name is Angela Fobbs. She's been in the game for a while. She has some amazing insights into politics, and she also comes from love. We absolutely don't want to miss that. And please make sure you share with your friends and family about this podcast.
Fantastic. Well done.
Wonderful.
All right.
Wonderful.
We'll speak with you next time. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye now.
Bye.